So as I have talked previously in the past about the elect being Israel, Paul reaffirms that in Romans 11. I believe it's in verses 25 through 27. Mentions Israel as the very elect. And it is written that the angels are going to gather the elect from one end of heaven to the other. Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, let me go ahead and get started, and let's go to the scriptures and find out. All right. So we'll first go to Matthew 24, verse 31. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. That already right there, that declares that there are two tribulations. And Paul said one was for Israel and the other one was for the Hellenes. Paul said that literally. Okay? I went over that before. In those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, which is the sky. All right, let's get to that word. The visible heavens, the atmosphere, the sky, the starry heavens. Well, obviously, it's talking about the sky. Okay? We'll go back and continue. And the powers of the sky shall be shaken. And then, we're going to see that first. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the sky. And then shall all the tribes of the earth shout, hooray, Messiah is coming. Oh, no, they won't. I'll get to that in the next video. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud, singular, Nephele, that's a cloud, not the clouds, a cloud, of the sky with power and great glory. So clouds are not in the outer atmosphere. Clouds are, as we know it, are in the sky. I'm going somewhere with this. The word heaven here is clearly the sky. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect, the chosen, Israel, all Israel, from the four winds. That means north, south, east, and west. From one end of heaven, or is it the sky, to the other? Well, it's obviously the sky. How do you say one? What do you mean when you say one end of the sky to the other? Right. Let's go to Deuteronomy. And Moses talked about this. Deuteronomy 30 and verse 4. And for a long time, I and some around me have thought that this meant from outer space. That's not true. Now, some of this is in plain sight, folks, and we just didn't notice it. Now, I can't remember what verse 4. Okay. I'll start in verse 1. And it shall come to pass that when all these things came upon you, the blessing and the curse. All right. Let me stop right here. We are all witnesses that both the blessing and the curse came on Israel, are we not? Isn't it true? Doesn't history verify that as fact? Obviously, it does. So after that is done, after that is finished, then what? We just read that Son of Man said, when the tribulation of those days are over, what do we look for next? The sun and the moon grow dark, and meteors start falling from the sky. and then the sign of the Son of Man. Blessing and the curse which I have set before you. Then you shall call them to mind among all the Goi, all the nations where Jehovah your Elohim has driven you. And you shall return unto Jehovah your Elohim. Now, there are a lot of Christians out there saying, if they shall. If, no, that's wrong. Shame on all of you for saying that. How dare you shorten the arm of the Almighty as if he can't cause them to call all these things into mind and return unto him. He will do it. And you shall, not if you shall, and you shall obey his voice according to all that I have commanded you this day, you and your children, with all your heart. There's no quarter here. There's no room for ifs, ands, or buts here. There is none. And with all your soul. Jehovah, your Elohim, will return the captivity. He's going to return. He's going to cause you to return. And have compassion upon you. And he, Jehovah, will return also. And do what? Gather you from all the nations where Jehovah, your Elohim, has scattered you. Now, look at this right here. This is not written correctly in King James, which all of the translations have terribly abused the words of Jehovah, which is a shame. So I'm going to try to correct this today. If any of yours be driven out in the outmost parts of heaven, from there will Jehovah your Elohim gather you, and from there he will fetch you. Now notice he says it twice, which means an emphasis. This is an extreme emphasis because the vast majority of them are going to be in this location. What does this mean? Well, in this particular instance, we should go to other translations. So let's do that. Let's go to New International. Let's see what it says. Verse 4, even if you have been banished to the most distant land under the heavens. That, my friends, is the correct translation. The most distant lands. Was Israel banished to the most distant lands? Well, according to Matthew 24, the answer is yes. We'll go there again. And they shall gather together his elect. And as Paul said in Romans 11, Israel are the elect for the patriarch's sake. Okay, so there is no disputing this. Let's get this dispute out of your system right now. From the four winds, from one end, what do we have here? Does it really mean one end? No. The most extreme part of the sky to the most extreme. In other words, as far west as you can go, as far east as you can go, as far north as you can go, and as far south as you can go. But wait. I'll show you a couple of things. Are they spread out equally? North, south, east, and west? No. Are they in the extreme, north, south, east, and west? Yes. But where are the bulk of them? Let's go to Jeremiah 3 first. Verse 12. Go and proclaim these words toward the north. Okay, we see northern hemisphere. And say, return, O backsliding Israel. Wow, hold on a minute. This is not Judah. This is not the Jews. Why do I know this? Because in verse 11 it says, and Jehovah said unto me, the backsliding Israel has justified herself more than treacherous Judah. So when he's talking about backsliding Israel, he's talking about the lost 10 tribes with Ephraim as their leader. Saith Jehovah, and I will not cause my anger to fall upon you. Oh, there's a promise. When the time of the Gentiles come to an end, his anger will no longer fall upon them forever. Forever. And for I am merciful, saith Jehovah. Say that name, Jehovah? His name is not the Lord, folks. Get used to it. And I will not keep my anger forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity, and they will. The story of the prodigal son proves that, because the lost son is Ephraim and the other son is Judah, but that's another story. Just acknowledge your iniquity, that you have transgressed against Jehovah your Elohim, and you have scattered your ways to the strangers, under every evergreen tree. Huh? Just acknowledge that you were wrong by having Christmas trees. Ephraim, lost house of Israel, and that you have not obeyed my voice, says Jehovah. Turn back, O backsliding children, saith Jehovah, because I am married to you, and I will take you, one of a city and two of a family. Is that what it says? No. Once again, King James Version has messed things up. Let's look up the word one. Not one out of a city. Because if you read Amos, the Amos 8, I'll try to remember to go to that. None are going to be left behind. If you read the last verse in Ezekiel 39, not a single one is going to be left behind. So is this one of a city and two of a family? Is that correct? Is that the right translation? No, it's not. One. Let me show you something here. There are so many different meanings for this Hebrew word. Right here it means sevenfold. Oh, look what we have here, folks. A numeral from Achad, properly united. Well, one is not united with anybody. United takes multiples. So we go back and we read here, I will take you united all together from out of a city. That's right, all together, united. This two of a family. Here we go again, another mistranslation. To a cardinal number. Well, both, a couple, double. Does he mean that he's going to bring back double? I'll show you something. Not here. Not here is where I'm going to show it to you. It's going to be some other place I'm going to show it to you. All right. Double, right? So then let's go look at all right. That's not what I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is go to Google. Let's see. Oh my goodness. It's not what I'm looking for either. Let's go back to Bible Hub. Let's see. Is it comfort? It might be under comfort view. Yes, I think it is. I think it's in Isaiah 40. Now, give to her double. See, somewhere it talks about Jerusalem is going to receive double because Jerusalem of her of reward, of goodness, of righteousness, because they had received double in punishment. Let's see if I can find it this way. Jerusalem. Let's see. Double reward. Let's try that. There we go. There we go. Isaiah 61, verse 7. And this wasn't about Jerusalem that I was getting at. This is about Israel. Okay? But it's also Jerusalem too. Isaiah 61. The year of Jehovah's favor. That's the year of visitation for mercy upon Israel. And the spirit of Jehovah Elohim is upon me, because Jehovah has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. Who are the captives? The captives are Israel. And the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance. Wait a minute now. Vengeance upon who? Those who had taken Israel into captivity. And opening the prisons to them of them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, and the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Jehovah, so that he, Jehovah, might be glorified. And they shall build the old wastes, and shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities and the desolations of many generations. And the strangers, the foreigners, are going to feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But you, as Israel, will be named the priests of Jehovah. It won't be just the Levites anymore. It's going to be all 12 tribes of Israel are going to be priests priests of Jehovah. Men shall call you ministers of our Elohim, and you shall eat the wealth of the Gentiles, and their glory shall you boast yourselves, and in your glory. For because of the shame that Israel has received, they shall have double. And for confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land they shall possess the double. Now we go back to, where were we? Whoa, okay. Okay. Let's see. Right here. Double. Double, double, double. Double the clan. Oh, yeah, it's all going to be doubled. And bring you to Zion. And I will give you, it says pastors. It says from the word break. A pastor is supposed to be somebody who tends sheep. Do you see? According to my heart. In other words, the pastors that you have right now, House of Israel, lost 10 tribes, those who are not Jews but are still of the lost 10, they are not pastors. But he's going to give you pastors according to his heart. And they will feed you with knowledge and understanding. It shall come to pass when you are multiplied, yes, doubled, and tripled, and quadrupled, and increased in the land in those days, says Jehovah. They shall no more say the ark of the covenant of Jehovah. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall it be done any more. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Jehovah, and all the Goyi shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Jehovah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they, the nations, walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. In those days shall the house of Judah and the house of Israel will walk together, and they shall come together united. Here we go with that word again. Same word, but why did they go and put two? Well, actually, it's not the same word, but it has the same meaning. All right, united. United out of the land of the north. All right. So we know that they're going to be coming from the north, but wait, hold it. Let me show you something about this, the north. Saphan. North side, obviously. And it is really the north. But let me tell you something about the land of the north. The hidden and dark. The hidden lands. Lands that were not known to exist. Uh-oh. Well, that's what it says right here, right? You can read this just as well as I can. The northern side, dark and gloomy, properly hidden. That the proper usage is hidden, the hidden lands. Lands that are used only of the north as a quarter, gloomy and unknown lands. What were the unknown lands, folks? In those days? You ready? Keep that in the back of your mind. All right. Unknown lands. They shall come together out of the land of the north, unknown lands, to the land that I have given you for an inheritance unto your fathers. Well, we just read it would be from the extreme locations of the earth. Unknown lands, lands that were unknown to them in those days, in the days of Jeremiah the prophet. Okay. What lands are they? Let's go to Hosea. We'll go to Hosea 7 first. So in Hosea 7, Jehovah, our Father, is talking about Ephraim's iniquity. And one of them, and he calls them adulterers. What is an adulterer? What is that? Okay. The word adulterer. Okay, let's look up the word adulterer. Adulterer. Okay, let's do that. Let's do this. Adulterers. Na'af. To commit adultery. What does it mean? Well, people think it means fornication. Usually, not always. Usually of a man, always with wife of another. Okay. And that's where everybody stops right there. Okay, figuratively of idolatry, idolatrous worship, which is obvious. All right. Now, even, let me show you something. Even Strong's Concordance doesn't have the whole thing. Right? Adulterate. To render something poor in quality by adding another substance, typically an inferior one. The meat was ground fine and adulterated with potato flour. To degrade, debase, to spoil, taint, defile, contaminate, pollute, foul, and sully. That is the proper meaning of adultery. Now we go to back here to Hosea 7. Where were we? Okay. So this should be the proper usage of the word adultery or adulterate. Okay. Because he makes it clear. He makes it clear in his in the next few verses. Okay. They are all adulterers as an oven heated by the baker, who ceases from raising after he has kneaded the dough until it be leavened. In the days of our kings, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched forth his hand with scorners. They have made ready their heart like an oven. While they lie in wait, their bakers sleep all night. In the morning it burns as a flaming fire. They are all as hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calls unto me. Now, what is the adultery? One of the many adulteries he's speaking of here is this one. Ephraim, he has mixed himself among the people, among the Gentiles. Mixed. To mingle, to mix, to confuse, to confound. Yes, folks. And even today, how do I say this? They glory in this. Even today, Ephraimites love what they call diversity. What are the other words? You know what I'm talking about. He's mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. In other words, it's baked on the bottom, it's hard, and on top it's soft. He's uneven because he mingled himself among the people. And strangers have devoured his strength. Sounds like the welfare system today. All right. And he doesn't know it, but gray hairs are here, and they're upon him, yet he knows it not. In other words, gray hairs are coming upon him, and he's about to die. His life is about to come to an end. Okay. So these are the sins, Ephraim's iniquities, and one of them is mingling themselves among the Gentiles. The diversity doctrine. That is prevalent throughout all the Western Hemisphere. Okay? And including the United States. So going back to Jeremiah, okay, now to Hosea 11. Or verse 8. How shall I give you up, Ephraim? Or I should I'll start with verse 7. My people are bent to backsliding from me, though they called them to the Most High, none at all would exalt him. How shall I give you up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver you up, Israel? How should I make you as Admah and Zeboim? Admah and Zeboim are sister cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. So, as Yehoshua Messiah said, as in the days of Lot shall the time of the end be. What happened to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim in the days of Lot? They got destroyed. Well, what he's saying is here, when he comes, when his final visitation comes, he's not going to do this to Ephraim. How shall I make you as Admah and Zeboim? My heart is changed within me. My repentings are kindled together. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger that is upon Ephraim. I will not return to destroy Ephraim. No. Who is he going to return to destroy them? Then Ephraim's enemies. For I am Elohim and not a man, the Holy One in the midst of you. Okay, when it says I will not enter into the city, what he means is as long as they're there. How do I know this? By reading the Matthew, this right here. Because once they are taken out, then the day of Jehovah's wrath will proceed, because it's coming. As in the days of Noah. Just read about Admah and Zeboim, right? This is Matthew 24, shall also be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days were before the flood, they were eating, drinking, and marrying, and getting married until the day that Noah entered the ark. He didn't do anything until Noah and the other 7 were secure. He was not going to do anything until they were secure. So likewise, he's not going to do anything until Ephraim and Judah are secure. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It's the same way. It says, then shall be 2 in the field, and 1 shall be taken and the other left. This is how Ephraim has mingled himself among the people thoroughly. Amos says so. In fact, let's go to the book of Amos. Let's go to Amos. Amos, Bible Hub, Amos 8, I believe it is. This one. No. Is it 9? Let's see here. Restoration. Here it is right here. Amos 9 and verse 9. For surely I will give the command, and he did, and I will shake the house of Israel. That's right, the house of Israel. This is not even talking about the house of Judah. It's talking about the house of Israel. Ephraim, among all the nations as a grain. In other words, they're all mingled together with the nations. As grain is sifted in a sieve, but not one single grain is going to fall to the ground. But it says, all the sinners among my people will die by the sword, all who say disaster will never draw near or confront us. That happened. And now is a time for what? Restoration of Israel. To repair all of this. To do all of this. Okay. Now where was I? Isaiah. I was in Hosea. Okay, here we go. Hosea. Then what's going to happen in verse 10? Then they will seek after Jehovah, just like Moses said. Just like we read in Deuteronomy 30. What does it say? Even if you're banished to the most distant land under the heavens, from there will Jehovah your Elohim gather you and bring you back. And he will make you more prosperous and more numerous than your ancestors. Double, triple, quadruple. And Jehovah your Elohim will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your children, so that you may love him with all of your heart and with all of your soul and live. And then what? And then Jehovah your Elohim will put all these curses on your enemies, those who hated and persecuted you. All right. Hosea 11. Where are they going to come from? They shall walk after Jehovah. He will roar like a lion. And when he does, when that roar comes, the sound of the trumpet, then shall the children of what? The children of Ephraim, but not just Ephraim, as we read in Jeremiah 3, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. She shall tremble from where? The west. So the vast majority, the vast bulk of Ephraim are in the west. In the furthest part of the Western Hemisphere you can go. So, question, where is the international date line? It is in the Pacific Ocean. That's where the end of the horizon in the West is. What lands are connected to the international date line in the north and the west? North America is where the vast majority of Ephraim is, because that's where the vast majority of the Jews on the earth are today. But they're not limited to that location. But that's where the vast majority of them are, west and north, in the furthest corner of the earth. Lands unknown in the days of the prophets. Unknown lands. Now, there are a lot of Jews that are in South America too, and Central America, a lot of them. Some of them don't even know it. But the vast majority is here in the United States, in North America. So, land of darkness. Why is it darkness? Because untruth, lies, deception, that's darkness. But the eyes of the children of Israel are going to be open. Not for Israel's sake, but for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sake. As Paul specifically mentioned in Romans 11, verses 25 through 27. And I thought that I was going to make this video short. Well, anyway, I think that's enough of this video. I will now go and move on to the next one.